Welcome in everybody to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host Michael Darcy, and today I'm joined by Michael Hebner, and we're going to break down if Patrick Mahomes can return in sooner than 3 weeks. Chiefs Kingdom, we have some big news regarding Patrick Mahomes. As we all already know, Patrick Mahomes dislocated his kneecap Thursday night against the Broncos. We all thought he would be out a long time, but the good news is he could return in less than 3 weeks, which leaves a lot of questions that need to be answered. And in my opinion, it might be a bad idea for the Chiefs to rush him back. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really tough decision because generally dislocated kneecaps take 6 weeks to heal. So if you really want him to be 100% when he comes back, I mean, we both know that he's coming off of an ankle injury, which hasn't healed yet this season. So obviously the time that he's taking to rehab his dislocated knee is obviously going to also help him rehab his ankle. But it's just tough because you know how important he is to the team and just the impact he has on every single game. I mean, it could be one throw. It could be the fact that he got the ball to a certain guy on a play that wasn't designed that way. The defense breaks down. You know, it's these little things that you don't think about. And he's just, I mean, he was the MVP last year for a reason and was on pace to be the MVP until this injury. So there's no doubt that, I mean, putting him in early in order to get to the Super Bowl makes logical sense. But then it's once you are in the Super Bowl, having an injured Patrick Mahomes, or even having injured him in the playoffs because he wasn't 100%, that's kind of the risk you are looking at. So you need to see it from a short-term side, but also long-term, and figuring out that balance is what's going to be tough.
Yeah, because, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is this Chiefs team. It is centered around him. The offense is his, and without Patrick Mahomes, this Chiefs team does not run correctly. So I can see why the coaches and the players and the staff want him back as quickly as possible, but I'm not sure if that's the right answer. I mean, like you said, that ankle is still not healed, and I think that the benefit of him being out with this kneecap issue is that ankle is going to heal. I mean, before this game even happened, I was questioning whether the Chiefs should have just rested him, and in hindsight, he probably shouldn't have played, but I think that since he's going to be out for at least 2 to 3 weeks, it would be a smart decision to keep him out as long as possible so we can let that ankle heal. Because again, Patrick Mahomes is so pivotal to this team's success that if he was gone for the rest of the season, this team should seriously consider starting to trade off pieces because, I mean, they cannot win with anybody else. I don't see this defense getting the job done that well, and this offense, again, is just tailored around Patrick Mahomes. It is literally his offense that he runs the best, and I don't think that any other quarterback would take this team to another level. But, I mean, it leaves a lot of questions that are very interesting because I think that if the Chiefs flop in these next 2 games against their opponents, it's going to be desperation time. I think that they might make a decision that if they were up 5 or 6 games, they wouldn't do. But the fact that they're 2 games up on the division on the Oakland Raiders is a major cushion. I mean, if they're half a game back or half a game in front of the Raiders, it's panic mode. But the fact that they are 2 games up and the Chargers and the Broncos are pretty much already out of it, it is a lot more comforting that they can have the luxury of resting Patrick Mahomes for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a comfortable spot in the division. The Raiders aren't that far behind, though, so if we do lose those games and the Raiders end up winning, obviously it's going to be a battle again this year to win the division. But it's really just tough to determine what you're going to do because we all know the offense isn't going to be like the high-powered Chiefs team we've known the last 2 years. You know, it's not going to be throw the ball down 50 yards on a single play and then it's 3rd and 20 and then you get the first down. You know, that's not going to happen. It's going to be more of that Alex Smith conservative offense. So
I'm expecting a lot more times running the ball. That's for sure.
Exactly.
But also, I mean, this Chiefs defense is going to have to step up, and I'm not quite sure if they can do that. I mean, we talked about this last episode. The Chiefs defense was good against the Broncos, but against better opponents, I mean, what makes me think that this Chiefs defense can come anywhere close to stopping Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in the past 25 years?
Well, I remember in the first year that Andy Reid came and they went, I don't know what it was like they won their first 9 games. So they went undefeated up until like week 10. and everyone was criticizing them, saying, "Oh, well, you've played easy teams, so your wins aren't really wins." And it's like, well, no, if they're easy teams, you should be winning those games. It doesn't matter whether you're the Patriots or you're, I don't know, the current Raiders or Denver Broncos. Like, a win is a win. It doesn't matter how ugly it is. With Mahomes out, we don't need to be putting up 40 points a game. Everybody just needs to step up and do their job and try and go above and beyond.
So the question that I'm trying to pose to you is, if Patrick Mahomes, and this is a big if he's feeling better and if he feels like he can come back, should the Chiefs allow him to come back in under 3 weeks? Because I got some inside sources with the Kansas City Chiefs, and my guy Mitch Holtis says that he's going to come back sooner than expected. What that means is up in the air, but I mean, he looks like he could come back in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing because, again, that ankle needs time to heal, and I think that kneecap should not be taken as a joke because guess what? Once you dislocate anything, the likelihood of that either dislocating again or possibly breaking is much higher, and I mean, I just keep seeing the RG3 injury over and over and over again in my head. I mean, that was an off contact injury that he was running for the ball, tried to scoop it up. He basically, I think he twisted his leg wrong, tore his ACL or something like that, and he was never the same quarterback. I mean, granted, Patrick Mahomes has much more talent. He has that opportunity to be an elite pocket passer if he loses all mobility, but I mean, it's got to be something to be considered because I mean, Patrick Mahomes, what makes him so great is the ability to get outside the pocket and make plays with his feet and his arm. And with that strained kneecap, I mean, who knows if that's even possible anymore?
I mean, a couple things first. I mean, we don't really know what time is expected. So to say he's coming back early, I mean, that really doesn't mean a lot. I mean, they could be expecting him to come back in 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, I've heard people say he'll be back in 2. I've heard people say he'll be back in 5. So early could mean anything from 1 week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks. I mean, nothing is really
I think
definite.
It's a pretty safe assumption that he's not playing this Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Reid even said it would be a stretch if he did. So I definitely don't think he's going to play. But there's a possibility he could play in 2 weeks. And you asked the question whether it's smart if he feels like he can play. I mean, there's a difference between being medically cleared and feeling like you can play. I mean, he's competitive. He's going to want to play. But I think it comes down to the doctors. Like, the doctors need to make a decision to say it's a lot safer for you to wait 1 more week and then play, after your 3rd week out. And with the RG3 example, you can't really compare RG3 and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, let's be honest. Like, no offense to RG3. He was a great quarterback, but he was not known for being, this great passer.
Yeah, I know, Mahomes. But the thing with Patrick Mahomes is, like I just said, I mean, he can have that ability to be a great pocket passer, but, I mean, that mobility might be gone. And, I mean, look at guys like Tom Brady. He's in his 40s and he's still putting up pretty good numbers. But
exactly.
The fact that he's not going to be that MVP type of player that we saw in his first season is kind of sad. So, I mean, I think that the biggest question is, can he play? And if so, should the Chiefs let him play? Because I don't see any point in rushing him back unless the Chiefs are starting to dwindle out of the playoffs. Because, as Colin Cowherd said, you cannot let the Chiefs waste this prime example. If a player's injured, guess what? Unless his bone is sticking out of his body, he's got to find a way to play. And I think that Patrick Mahomes probably could have played Sunday night. I mean, that was my opinion, but I think that the Chiefs are holding him out for cautious reasons, which they should. I mean, it's been like 10 days, so give him more time, but eventually, in a few weeks, I think that he needs to get to the point where he is much closer to coming back. But I don't see any point in rushing him back as soon as possible.
Yeah, my final 2 thoughts would be that if he does come back prior to the 6-week mark or earlier than expected, he's probably going to be wearing some sort of a knee brace. I mean, he's not.
I think that's a guarantee.
Back.
Even if he comes back in week 14, he's probably going to be wearing a brace.
Yeah, and you could argue that he's not going to be as mobile. I mean, he probably will try and run, but I don't see him doing anything crazy. I mean, the coaches are going to try and make sure he's protected. And that's the other thing is the offensive line, if he does come back sooner than expected, really needs to step up because
Cam Irving is an absolute joke. I mean, Cam Irving has to step it up.
I mean, in his defense, sure, he stepped on Mahomes twice.
That was Andrew Wiley, but I mean, Cam Irving can't stop anyone, and I think that's the reason why he's a backup. So the Chiefs just need to find some way to give him some protection because he needs to be basically guarded like the king. I mean, if he gets touched, he should not be able to hit the ground. He should be able to stay on his feet the majority of the game. And football is a violent game. You're going to take hits and you're going to get hit, but you need to be able to sustain those hits and avoid the avoidable hits because, I mean, the last thing we need is Patrick Mahomes getting blown up.
Exactly, and the Chiefs need to be cautious with him because he is the team, like you said before, and he is the franchise, and they've built this team around him, and he's literally the only player that is going to carry this team to be the next dynasty. And if he goes, it's going to be a complete rebuild for this offense because we no longer have the MVP. We no longer have that player that is constantly changing every single game, whether we're down by 10 points or whether we're up by 20. So it would be a huge loss if we lost him because we decided to play him earlier than expected.
So that's our take. We believe that the Chiefs should be cautious with Patrick Mahomes, but if he's healthy and able to play, he should be on that field. But again, there is no point in rushing him back because the Chiefs need Patrick Mahomes in order to make a Super Bowl run. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys like these videos and want to support me, go click the link in the description and go support me on my Patreon. I would more than appreciate it. Thank you to Michael Hepner for joining me in this episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the KC Sports Report by Michael Darcy.